Now to talk about this, Jamil Jaffer, who has served on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee as chief counsel. He was also a senior counsel for the House Intelligence Committee and associate counsel to President George W. Bush. Also with us, Shanlon Wu, a CNN legal analyst, defense attorney, and former federal prosecutor. You men both have great credentials, so we're fortunate to have you here for this conversation. Jamil, let's start with you. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's made it pretty clear that he doesn't really want to call any new witnesses, but he also hasn't ruled it out. Do you think that he'll view this New York Times report in the same light that Chuck Schumer is? Is it going to be a game changer for Mitch McConnell?
Well, I don't think so. And the reason why is that McConnell's view is generally, look, the House had the chance under Democratic leadership to conduct whatever investigation it wanted to conduct. It could have waited to get the testimony of Bolton or Mulvaney. It chose not to and chose to get the impeachment articles out by Christmas. So no reason to call these witnesses here. The House can still continue its investigation if it wants to. It's choosing not to do that. I think his view will be, look, in the Clinton impeachment, we didn't call witnesses. Even though back in the Andrew Johnson impeachment, there were almost over 40 witnesses called, at least in the modern era, there haven't been witnesses called, and that was Schumer's position back then. So why is it changing now will be McConnell's position, I think.
So, Shan, is it really about what McConnell wants, but more about what this small group of moderate Republicans want? Could they be the ones that compel him to call these witnesses? Could it perhaps be a game changer for someone like Lisa Murkowski, Cory Gardner, or Susan Collins?
I think that's right, Ryan. It's really a question of the political atmospherics for McConnell. He wants to protect his own majority. He wants to protect the Senate itself. So if information began to come out where those more moderate folks might change their minds, I think that could influence him. But I probably respectfully disagree with Jamil. I don't think that's McConnell's real motivation, the historical precedent. I think he wants to stay as far away as possible, as does Trump's team, from live witnesses. I actually think they left their best argument in the locker room, which I think they should have leaned into the idea that this is really a foreign policy issue which goes to the core of the president's powers. But they haven't done that. They seem just genuinely pretty shy of more witnesses coming forward.
So to Shan's point, Jamil, I think it's probably across the board expected that Mitch McConnell would do everything he can to avoid live witnesses. But could you see some sort of a compromise reached with Chuck Schumer where they do tape depositions or something along those lines to get the witnesses on the record but not create somewhat of a circus atmosphere surrounding their testimony?
Well, that's exactly what happened, Ryan, during the Clinton impeachment. They had three witnesses who had depositions. The depositions were not read on the floor. They were just part of the permanent record of the proceeding, and they immediately went from opening arguments to closing arguments and did that. So that certainly is one potential outcome. And Shan's right. Look, I think Mitch McConnell does not want witnesses, although the Democrats should be careful what they want if they get witnesses, because if they do get witnesses, I think that you'll expect to see Hunter Biden and potentially Joe Biden called, and that's not something that's going to help the Democrats in an upcoming election.
All right, let's turn now to Rudy Giuliani's role in all of this. A lawyer for Rudy Giuliani's associate, the indicted associate Lev Parnas, is asking the court's permission to share documents and iPhone data with House investigators. Shan, how could that material help their case against President Trump?
It could help it in a number of ways, because Giuliani's information would elucidate exactly what perhaps his instructions were, how much he was briefing the president. It's interesting that he's asking to disclose that, because obviously there's attorney-client privilege issues. I mean, we see from that New York Times reporting that Mulvaney literally fled the room to try and protect that privilege, but Rudy seems a little bit cavalier about that. So if I was Trump's team, I would not be very happy about that request.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Jamil Jaffer, Shan Wu, Happy New Year to both of you, and thank you for joining us.
Happy New Year.